real estate investors being the proud entrepreneurs, and it's honestly for good cause. You know why? I view the entrepreneurs, like the real estate investors, almost like the athletes of entrepreneurs. You know why? Because with one check, you can get as much as you might have made than last year. You went from making $50,000 a year to closing a $50,000 flip. But just like a famous celebrity or an athlete, you now have the power of 1 year in your hand. It's like you were used to that spreading out over a year. Now you've got in one check. Then you're like, what do I do with this? And then no one knows what to do with it. And then you get into the situation where you're doing 25 deals a month and spending 26 worth. So that's like, get it while the getting's good. Like, know where you are right now. And I'll talk about that later. But okay, let me go back to the story. But that's what reminded me of that, because I'm like, you're good at doing the deals. You're good at that. Just let's manage the money. Then on the other side, so then I moved across the country, started helping another real estate investor, partner with him. First thing I said was like, show me your books. I don't give a rat's behind what you say about the business. Like, I want to see the numbers. Like, show me the numbers. And the numbers were a mess. Just like most real estate investors that are doing the 25 deals a month, but spend 26, but don't have a good set of books and don't have any idea what am I making, spending, or keeping in my business. Do I make enough, spending it in the right places and keeping any of it? So then I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get this in order, and we're going to get you at least those three numbers so you can know consistently where your money's going. Because he was always asking, where's my money? Where's my money? I'm like, we're going to find it. So then we did. We cleaned it all up, got the numbers in place. He was able to like refinance a portion of his small portfolio, like take several $100,000 out. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is mind blowing. Like, this has been life changing because now I know where it's coming from. I know where it's going, and I know what I'm keeping now. And I got to refinance, put some money in my pocket. I'm like, okay, I got to put a business around this. Cause like, if I could just give people clarity of where the money is to make better decisions, that'll be enough. Then I had a mentor call me and said, I heard you're starting a business to give people clarity around the numbers. You should read Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So that night, read it, the whole book, took 10 pages of notes and said, boom, this is the cash flow system, because I'm an entrepreneur and it spoke to me. Even though I look like the nerdy numbers guy, I get it. Like, I am an entrepreneur. I love doing the deal. And the Profit First book spoke to me of like, I could actually manage the money. I could tell it where it's going. I could set up the system. So that's when I started implementing Profit First with real estate investors. That's when I started the business, like just trying to give people clarity. And that's always the progression. Then a year into it, I actually reached out to Mike Michalowicz and said, hey, could I write Profit First for real estate investing? I've got a big real estate background, and now we've implemented it. And I've seen the people that were sitting at the bar with the 1,000 units or the $1 million businesses or whatever, now are actually keeping their money. They actually know where it's going because of this system. So that's where he let me write the book. And, that's where I am today.
David, I am living proof of that. I read that book too. And I read it when I was in a mess, and I had no idea of even what the book was about, but somebody said, you got to read Mike's book. And then I had Mike on my podcast and vice versa. But that book, literally, for some of you, it will just unlock something. But, if you're a real estate investor, read David's book, and we'll cover that in a second. But here's the thing. Like, if you're a real estate investor and you're like, oh, I got all these deals, but I never seem to be able to pay myself, or I pay myself and then I'm broke again. Let me just give you clarity. After I started using this in my real estate business, every quarter, clockwork, I take a profit check every single quarter. There's not been a quarter since I applied what you're about to learn that I haven't been able to take a profit check. Now, that never happened prior to doing this. So my business model didn't change. My properties didn't change. Not like I went to all my tenants and said, hey, I'm increasing your rent 100 times so I can take a profit check. It was just this simple change that allowed me to do it because it provided that clarity.
Yeah, that's where so many people start to implement this, and they're like, where was this money going before? It's not like any more is coming in. Just I know where it is now.
The black hole,
right?
That's where it all went.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. But so that was the journey. But then as far as Profit First, or if you want me to go into that, like, this is what I teach people all the time. Like, if I can just give this bare bones of what Profit First is so people could get that message, we'll just dive into that. You're good with that, Chris?
Absolutely.
So, okay. The first thing I do want to address that I address with most people is like what we were talking about, the real estate investor being the athlete. Like, we get into the comparison game a lot. We go to these events, we go to these masterminds, we go to these events, and we say, what are they doing? And we're letting them dictate our business. That's no bueno. Like, why are we letting other people decide what's happiness for us and what we should be doing and how many units we should have and how much so that's one big thing I want to just get out there on the table, because most people, their business plan is the hope and pray plan. I hope I make enough and I pray there's some at the end of the year, and I'm basing my numbers off what someone else is telling me. So it's like a jumbled mess. They have no idea going into business what they really need. So that's where we take people and say, you need to know what you need from your business. Do you know what you need personally to take from the business on a monthly basis to support you and your family? Most people don't even have that number. And it's like, that's the first North Star, because that number is personal to you. It is not something anyone else can dictate to you or tell you that you should be doing. It is more like, I know that this is what I want, because a lot of people say they get into real estate for financial freedom. And to that, then that means time, relationship, money, all the types of freedom. But then none of their financial decisions are based around freedom. It's all about locking up the next deal, more money, doing this stuff. And then they're, like they're thinking they're working for their family, but they're doing it to their family. I heard that one time. I'm like, that's such a great statement for the entrepreneur. It's like, we think we're doing this for them, but we're doing it to them. And that's where we have to get away from that. So that would be the first thing. I want to get that out there on the table. Like, get your keep number. I call it the keep number in the book. Like, find what you need to keep from the business, because that will be the first number that guides you on your business journey, no matter where you are. Even if you're doing $1 million a year, I've talked to people literally across the Zoom screen that were doing $1 million plus a year and still paying themselves like poor wages, like 35K or under. I'm talking about just, they're living in poverty almost. I'm like, what the heck are you doing? They're just like, I don't think I could pay myself more. It's like, oh my gosh.
Isn't that funny though? Like, I'm part of a lot of masterminds, and I was part of more of them before. And I can't even describe, you go to these masterminds and there's these guys and they're doing 5 million, they're doing $10 million. And you're like, oh, these are the titans,
rock stars. Yeah.
Now you go to a mastermind, like, let's just say that's a couple of years ago. And now you go to the same mastermind, and those ones, like, they don't want to say it yet, but they're like, well, the market shifted and things are tough. Does anyone have any suggestions about this? And it's like, wait a second. You said you were making $5 million. You see, we get so blinded by the number, $5 million. It's not what you make, folks. You could be making $500 million. It's what you keep that matters. It's what you get to live a better life and provide a better life for your family that matters, not the gross number. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, we could park there a while, right? Revenue is sanity, profit is, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. I like the cash flow. I like cash flow is king. Cash flow management is king. Like, cash, to me, not king. Cash flow, not king. Cash flow management. You know why? Because if you have the cash and you have the cash flow, like, you need to put it in the right place. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. But here we go. Like, here's profit first in a nutshell. In a nutshell, it's number one, making sure that, yes, you know what you need to keep. But then from there, it's the mindset of, it's sales minus profit equals expenses. So everyone else has the BS formula. Sales minus expenses equals profit. Meaning, I make a sale, I pay everyone else and their mother, and then the profit's what's left over. That's how most people operate their business. It's like, hopefully there's a profit. But the profit first formula is sales minus profit equals expense. Meaning, I make a sale, I take my profit off the table, I dictate how profitable we're going to be, and then we have the expenses still there to grow the business and do the things, for the business health. That's where so many people have it backwards, where they're thinking about paying themselves last. And they get a lot of these ideas just from the books or from entrepreneurs, and then they take the extreme cases like Warren Buffett or Bill Gates and stuff. It's like, you are not Microsoft, Snapchat, Facebook, like, where venture capital is pouring money into you or whatever. Like, you are your mom and pop shop. You need to be able to eat, not be stressed out all the time. You need to know where your money's going and be profitable. So then here's the difference though, because I feel like we get that message like from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like a lot of the different books. So The Richest Man in Babylon, like, if you're a reader, you might have heard that concept before. Like, this is Pay Yourself First from Robert Kiyosaki, or like a portion of all I have is mine to keep. That's where Profit First has an actual system behind it, where it puts in practice the actual formula. It doesn't just say pay yourself first. It's like, here's how to do it. So here you go. In a nutshell, it is the envelope method. So if you've heard of the envelope method, like for personal finances, love them or hate them, Dave Ramsey, made the envelope system very popular, where it's like the different envelopes for all your expenses, and you give every dollar a name. That's the crux of that system. Well, I want you to give every dollar a name in your business. It comes in your business. I'm giving that dollar a name. I'm going to put a different envelopes, which are now going to be bank accounts. I'm going to set up different bank accounts in my business. So that way I can name the dollars and tell them where to go. That's why, because we were talking about this. I think it was, Chris, we were talking about this right before. You're like, hey, I used to have one big bank account. Everything went in and out. It's like, it was a mess. That's how most people operate before being exposed to a system like this, is that they have one big bank account. All the money goes in, it goes out, no clarity whatsoever. It's just a jumbled mess.
How many bank accounts do you think I have now? Yes. How many?
55.
It's a little under that. It's 47.
Okay, I was close though. I just know you. Are you counting your policies as bank accounts too?
No, that would put me over 50. Yeah, that would add 9 more. Right. No, but I should. But all my policies feed into one segregated account for my banking. And eventually I'll probably have 2 segregated accounts because now I've got a trust system. So now each policy will have a specific task within that trust system. But that's getting high level. But if I include that, I'm 9 more.
I was going to say, then I was very close if you include those, because I love Profit First and Infinite Banking, and I feel like the policies are like another bank account. Like if you have, especially if you just get started out and you have 1 or 2, it's like, okay, what are those specifically for? But I digress.
We should write Profit First for Infinite Banking concepts.
Oh yeah, I've already talked to Mike. Like I think we should go down that road. Do something like that, because it's such a system where it's like, it's very married together. It's like you want to turbocharge this, but then that's where, okay, let's go back to Profit First. Here's the couple bank accounts that I would name first. These are the foundational ones that will help you achieve number 1. Remember, point number 1 was like, find what you need to keep, stop the comparison game, stop all that. So here's the 3 bank accounts to set up first. I call them the golden trio, just like every great movie of all time, like this big epics like Star Wars, Harry Potter. 3 main heroes, right? Luke, Han, Leia, making sure good wins in the end. Your business is your epic saga. So let's set up 3 accounts. The golden trio going to help you win. Number 1, profit. Number 2, owner's comp. And number 3, owner's tax.